Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning. I won't pretend I'm doing better than I was yesterday, but a problem shared is a problem halved, so thank you very much for joining us where we can share our grief and generally talk wrestling. We do have plenty of news beyond the headlines and beyond the main news. I can now share details of why this happened, not the exact, but the condition that cost us Bray Wyatt. We also have details on how Smackdown is going to be changed to accommodate a tribute show and what changes will not be made as well. Then we have some details on WWE Payback. We're talking Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus and who's going to come out there as a star. Why Seth Rollins will be taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. 3 matches confirmed that were pulled from SummerSlam. I have a little bit on Twitter versus Threads. I'd love your opinion on where I should put my focus in the near future. 2 champions missing Payback. When we're going to see Shayna Baszler step back into the fray, and the future for DIY. So plenty of news there. Much like yesterday when I went live, yesterday was a lot of it about Bray Wyatt. This, I would imagine, is not going to be much of an exception to that. We will still be talking about that, and I know there's quite a few people who will be joining us who didn't necessarily join us yesterday when it comes to the world that we live in. We do have a lot in common and a lot to share, and I am trying to share my grief, much like I hope you guys are as well, because, like I say, a problem shared. So, let's see who's in the chat already. We have plenty of people chatting away. Carl says, make sure to follow Tom tonight during Smackdown, for I'm sure it's going to be an emotional show during his watch-along. It probably will. I did tweet earlier that I'm not going to apologise when it gets emotional, because it will get emotional. Raymond says, hello Tom, hope your day is going better. It's okay. I didn't sleep, but it's okay. Bailey says, I arrived to the show very late yesterday, but watched it on replay and wanted to thank you for hosting and sharing your thoughts. I appreciate that. Thank you. Spider-Boss says, Edge confirmed he has a contract extension in his inbox. It was very nice of him to confirm my report, yes. And Spider-Boss says, thanks Tom for sharing your thoughts about Bray. Still shocking he's gone. Alex Pires says, hey Tom, how are you? How are you doing? This is very hard for us for sure. Just destroyed. Yeah, it's a hard hitter. It really is. I was a big fan of Bray Wyatt, as I'm sure many of you know. Eric says, will they also do a tribute for Terry Funk? I'm sure they will, yes. Spider-Boss doesn't believe Sean Sapp of Fightful should have given details about Bray's health condition. The details of the health condition were given quite a while back. Fightful have been reporting on this on Fightful Select for quite a while now that there is an issue. I personally have been avoiding that, but we'll be giving some details at the end of this show. If that's not something you're interested in, please, by all means, skip out there. Marcel says, hi Tom, still sad, hope for a nice tribute tonight. Mick says, hi man, hope you're doing better today. Thank you very much guys for the kind words and the kind hearts. Matthew says, evening Tom and chat. Tom, thank you very much for yesterday. You're welcome, Matthew. It was wonderful seeing everyone come together in their grief and helping to pick each other up. I personally benefited massively. Thank you as well for being there. Thank all of you for being here. And even if you weren't there, thank you for being part of a wonderful community. Mustafa says, hello, favourite community. Richard says, hi Tom, are the champions missing Payback, Sammy and KO, or is it Ray or EO? That will be one of our stories soon. Timothy says, I'm so sad, man. It hurts. Dad says, big up, Tom. Any news on All In? Not at this point. We're simply too close to it. Richard says, hi, Tom. Is a Seth back injury a way to write him off TV or just fuel for the feud? If he was being written off TV, he would be written off TV. He is not being written off TV. Squid says, I nearly died from COVID 2 years ago. Was in a coma for 2 months. Bray passing away made me weep for his kids and wife. It reminded me how close I was to losing mine. Truly a sad, sad story. Billy Crystal says, still doesn't seem real. Razar says, hello Tom, hope you're doing well. So sad to hear about Bray Wyatt. WWE is giving all the money from his merch to the family if anyone wants to help them out. And I do feel that's very, very generous and a very good option for you. If you want to buy Bray Wyatt merch, it does go directly to supporting his family, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Chungles, I'm doing okay. LF says, cried on the train home. Rewatching the Eddie Guerrero tribute, Smackdown will be emotional. Spider-Boss says, surprised me that fans in Quebec were uninterested in the Becky and Trish segment on last week's Raw. Marcel says, at work, I watched all the Firefly Funhouse episodes. Don't tell anybody. Carl says, this community is amazing. I'm thankful we can all come together to share grief. In many ways, all I provided is a focal point, and I'm just very, very happy that I did, because we do have some wonderful people here. Sai says, evening all. Welcome, Sai. Joseph Sai, Tom, just want to say we're all here for everyone and supporting each other. We're all here for you, Tom, and I appreciate that, Joe. Christian says, I feel numb. Wyndham's death cuts deep. I can't imagine what the Rotunda Offerman family is going through right now. Timothy says, hey everyone. Hello, Timothy. And Leon says, I'm just so heartbroken. Daniela says, good evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Do you reckon WWE will do a 10-bell salute with superstars, referees and officials on the entrance stage like they do sometimes, but hasn't happened in a while? I did see that being reported by other outlets. Ken says, hey Tom, do you know how long Liv Morgan will be out of action? Nope, because it does come down very much to her recovery. Rob says, watched yesterday on replay. Well done, Tom. Well done. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. Ken Thompson says, R.I.P. Bray. You can now be with your friend Luke Harper. Temple Place says, R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. Absolutely gutted. Spider Boss is singing a theme in the background as well. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the show, mate. Daniela says, Bray will be missed. I liked his Fiend matches. I like the Fiend character in particular, but it is so sad. And Calvin toasts the Fiend. Okay, so our first bit of news is as regards the plans for tonight's SmackDown. And the first thing I need to say is that reports that meetings were being cancelled and meetings would not take place today were very wide of the mark. You cannot have a wrestling show, even if it's got no wrestling on it, without at least having a meeting about it. Plans for SmackDown were scrapped at the beginning of the day. Essentially, last night they got together a emergency meeting, which again, meetings. And in that meeting, they decided they would go fully behind the tribute show. There may still be a number of wrestlers who continue their angles, but that will be brief. The likelihood is that they will open with a dedicated tribute, followed by many moments where people talk about Wyndham Rotunda. Note that I say Wyndham Rotunda, not Bray Wyatt. And finally, they will end with someone toasting the man himself. I'd imagine that is when we will see Braun Strowman and potentially Cody Rhodes. Now, the tribute segments are already recorded and edited. I'll be interested to know whether or not they're going to be all shown tonight or whether they're saving it for some sort of documentary. I don't think that's an impossibility when it comes to Bray Wyatt. But a number of wrestlers have been invited to take part who are particularly close to Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman is the most obvious one. He will be in attendance. Eric Rowan has been contacted, as have Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. So a number of people have received that invite. A number of wrestlers are already there who are also close to Bray Wyatt, and they will be there not just to record their segments, but quite possibly to be out in front as well, on camera, in the arena, sharing their grief also. Matt Hardy is said to also have requested an AEW tribute, and Tony Khan, from what I can tell, is eager to make that happen. I suspect either at the beginning of Collision, the beginning of Rampage, or in fact, I find most likely All In will feature some sort of tribute to Bray Wyatt. He had a lot of friends in AEW as well, and I just said he had, and now I'm that. Okay. Members of his family have been invited, but it's quite a trek for them, so I don't know if that's going to happen. And yes, that does include Bo Dallas, who has been invited to take part also. Just a little side note on that as regards Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is not, from what I can tell, going to be in attendance because he is still recovering at home from back surgery, and the trip would simply take too much out of him. But he's said to be very affected and very upset. Vince McMahon and Bray Wyatt were very close. They did have a very close working relationship and a very close friendship. Bray Wyatt was able to get away with a lot of things that other wrestlers would not be able to, because Vince McMahon did have his back, including a Vince McMahon puppet, which Vince himself was all in and all on and all the way behind. Triple H is leading the show tonight. He has written most of the actual in-ring segments himself. We will see plenty of people paying tribute. I suspect there will be black armbands issued, and plenty of people from Raw will also be in attendance, who've flown out specifically for this show. It does really show you how well respected he was. that people are basically spending their day off making sure they can be there to pay tribute, and I have nothing but respect for that. The WWE have made it clear that anyone who is too upset to be involved may step back and step out. I expect some of these tributes are going to be very emotional. Okay. Ladies Guy says, I'll be... Okay, Ladies Guy, don't advertise on my show. I also go live for SmackDown, so, you know. If you're on the Discord, there's a dedicated promotion segment, but please don't advertise directly in the chat of my active show. Zane says, just remember the great moments of Bray, and there were many. Marcel says, I hope Bray is the main person for Hall of Fame 2024. That has not been discussed to my knowledge, but I do find it likely. Spider-Boss says, I always appreciated that Bray Wyatt reinvented himself after every setback and bad booking, giving us the Eater of Worlds and the Fiend character in the Firefly Funhouse. Joe's favourite moment was Bray versus John Cena. Austin Palmeter says, this is so hard, haven't felt like this since Eddie. Zane Charles says, the Big Show did an interview talking about Bray, he was crying. He was directly asked about that. Slightly awkward, I've got to say. LFUK says, what was everyone's favourite Bray match? I really enjoyed the Hell in a Cell with Roman. So a question for everyone in the chat, and I do appreciate that, LF. Let's ask the question of everyone. Pardon me. What was everyone's Bray Wyatt match? Answer in the chat. Let me know straight away. Richard says, hello, Tom. EO tweeted, she will still have a match against Zelina. Will they have a special stipulation for Bray? No. What? No. Why would that happen? Why would that happen? What stipulation could there be? Still has to make storyline sense. Clyde says, RIP Bray Wyatt. Enjoy each second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year. You never know. Much love, Tom, and all in the chat. Thank you, Clyde. Appreciate that. Spider-Boss says, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt's tag team was so unique. It was a short run, but it was cool. Jordan says, evening all. Thank you for always lighting the way to Wyndham Rotunda. Hello. Gleb jumps in. Welcome, mate. That's a new name. Says, hello everyone, Gleb here. Many of you will remember Gleb from his features on this program and on this show, including, I think, most popularly, the financial breakdown of AEW, which said a lot about what was coming in the near future, I tell you. So sorry for interrupting the show, just wanted to share condolences. I've also wrote a small piece for Wrestling Home, and I'm really gutted to hear the news. Yeah, you and me both, mate. You and me both. Spider-Boss says Bray versus Seth Rollins at Saudi in 2019 when he won the Universal title the first time. Temple says Jay Briscoe, Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt in one calendar year. No longer here anymore hurts a lot. We should come together as a community. Don't forget to hug and kiss your loved ones. I definitely do feel like we've really come together in this community, and I'm really proud to just be a part of this community given how well we've looked after each other over the last few days. A lot of you have been reaching out to me and looking out for me as well, and I very much appreciate that. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has checked in and has reminded me that I'm not alone on this one. I do appreciate it. I'm going to post the link to the Discord, as I can see Lady Sky asking for it, so there it is. Noob says, hello Tom, it seems like everyone is going to pay tribute to Bray Wyatt. Not everyone. Leon says WWE about Bray Wyatt is sad, and his favourite match was the Funhouse. Temple says the Wyatt family versus the Shield Elimination Chamber, my favourite match. Great times. Chris Leclerc says the Wyatt family versus the Shield as well. Ken says Bray versus Daniel Bryan, Survivor Series 2019. Pretty sure it was Brock versus Daniel Bryan in 2019. I'm not sure now. Who knows? Noob says my favourite Bray Wyatt match is Bray versus John Cena. That was WrestleMania 30. Mick says I rather found the White Rabbit thing enormously interesting, especially at the beginning. Too bad it didn't become more. The match at Mania where Alexa showed up was crazy, it was. Nick says, will the whole show be around him? That seems unlikely at this point in time. They literally can't make it the whole show. Even, for example, the Owen Hart, the Eddie Guerrero tributes were not the whole show. They did break up matches with the tributes. Ken says, my favourite match was Bray versus Matt Hardy in Ultimate Deletion. Christian also agrees on that one. Brad also agrees on the Shield versus the Wyatt family. Spider-Ball says, I certainly can understand Bray's fans. When Andy Guerrero passed 18 years ago, I was shocked for the news. Now the Bray news shocked me. Raymond says, my favourite Bray moments were the feud between the Wyatt family and the Shield. Great look into the future of pro wrestling. Austin says that promo he did when he came back last year was so much in the feels, and now when we look back at that, it does read slightly different. Razar says, favourite Bray match was the Shield versus Wyatt family. Got to see it live. The atmosphere was incredible. People going crazy before the match even started. Eric says, on a more positive note, are you ready to go to All In? Yes, I am. I very much am, and I'm looking forward to it. Joey says, hey, Tom, do you know what's going to happen with Bo Dallas and the Uncle Howdy character? My suspicion is that they'll simply be written off and Bo Dallas will return in a different guise. Austin says, I was so hoping the news wasn't true yesterday. You and me both, buddy. You and me both. Kevin says, it's crazy that LA Knight was Bray Wyatt's final match. Yep, he was always giving back. And Gleb says, Wyatt versus ECW Legends or Elimination Chamber, in which he became the champion. And that is mine as well, Gleb, when he became the champion with the era of Wyatt kicking in. I'm going to do a sneeze. I do apologise. Daniela says, Fiend versus Seth was good. Humper2 says, my favourite would be Hell in a Cell, Seth versus The Fiend. At the time I hated the ending, but now I'm just grateful of being able to see him that one time live. Ryan Besson says, hoping everyone is feeling better today. And Calvin says, will everyone be giving a tribute? Not everyone is there. Not everyone is there, but most people who can get there will be looking to pay tribute. Essentially, the WWE have come out and Lady Sky, you can't put links in the chat. I can, and I did. Yeah, so the WWE tend to basically go out to people and say who wants to record something, and then they will broadcast most of them, and then some of them will go on YouTube. Mick says, Paul Rowan, as well as I think about it. Joe says, my favourite match is Bray versus The Undertaker. Joe has suggested 3 favourite matches. I don't think you understand the question here, mate. Temple says, Bray Wyatt winning the WWE title in the Chamber was a great moment. Watch that today to honour him. Kevin says, best moments of the steel cage match, Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt on Raw. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate it. Thank you, Brad, as well. Christian says, if WWE are making their profits on Bray merch go towards his family, shouldn't they re-release merch if they only have masks and plaques and a few shirts? Essentially, right now, Christian, they're still working with the merch team to work out what they can re-release. Let's not forget it's been less than a day. They're doing what they can. Joey says, my 3 favourite Bray Wyatt matches is the Wyatt family versus The Shield, Bray versus Cena at Mania, and Bray winning the WWE title. Need you to pick one, mate. Lady Sky raises a point. She is not able to see my link to the Discord. Can anyone else see where I dropped a link to the Discord? Okay, well, I can't see where I dropped a link to the Discord now. Huh. Maybe she's right. Let's have a check. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Sai. Sai has dropped a link. Thank you for chasing it up, Lady Sky. I was going to ask if anyone else can see it, and as it turns out, even I can't see it, so it actually didn't happen. I forgot. Whew. CM says, what's happening on SmackDown tonight? Please just rewind about 10 minutes and you'll find all the details there. Marcel says, my favourite match is the debut, The Fiend against Finn. And Spider-Boss says, the Bray Wyatt versus John Cena rivalry was awesome. Bray beating Cena at WrestleMania 36 was nice. It was nice. Thank you, Daz. Appreciate that. Joey says, do you know if the Usos and Bloodline stuff is being cut? I don't. I suspect we will still have some allusion to it. It will not be purely Wyatt. It will be Wyatt, normal SmackDown, Wyatt, normal SmackDown, Wyatt, normal SmackDown. Eric says, my favourite is a Firefly Funhouse match. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Juan Orozco says, hey Tom, is it true that Endeavour will not be giving out big money contracts to everyone like Vince would have done? Well, okay, so I don't know where you've got that report, but let me just put it into context for you. What does big money mean? What do you mean like Vince would have done? He was stingy as hell. That's the secret of his success. Why would Endeavour be involved in it? They're not the CFO of WWE, etc. Whatever you've heard, it doesn't make any sense. CM says, do you think we'll see Bo Dallas blow out the lantern crying to end the show? I don't know how live TV is going to work, okay? I don't know. I don't have all of the details. I've shared everything I can. Christian says, do you think, bro? Guys, I've shared everything I know, okay? Wiggly says, still such a shock to process, and yes, my personal highlight was for Bray Wyatt was him getting the win over Cena at WrestleMania 36. Spider-Boss says, WWE announced on IG that Jimmy Uso will be on SmackDown tonight. Yes, he will. As I say, storylines are not suspended. Okay? They basically ripped up the script, wrote in a lot of space for tributes and the like, recorded the tributes, then decided what they could have back in. Okay? Storylines are not suspended. Joey says, is Cody going to be at the show to pay tribute to Bray? He's going to be at the show. I don't know what he's going to do there, but I suspect he will have recorded a tribute, yes. Spider-Boss says, about Payback, do you think Rhea and Raquel will be a short match? Let's talk about Payback, shall we? Because I have quite a bit of news to share on Payback. Firstly, a question for the chat, as you know I love to do. Simple question: are you guys excited for Payback? Let's get into the wrestling world once again. Are you excited for Payback? So the cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus is going to have a surprising star arise from the end of it. From what I can tell, the plan going forwards is for Zoe Stark to come out of the feud with Becky Lynch as the star here. Trish Stratus essentially putting her over as much as she can, as in many ways is Becky Lynch. Trish Stratus is winding up. They did push the match back after it was cut from SummerSlam, primarily so they can get a bit more focus on a smaller card. When it comes to Becky Lynch, she has other plans in the fire, as it were, but Zoe Stark is someone that Triple H believes has a very strong future, and her team up with Trish Stratus, while not due to last much longer, going forwards will pay dividends. The reason Seth Rollins is facing Shinsuke Nakamura is because Seth Rollins requested to face Shinsuke Nakamura. The feud with Finn Balor was part of the plan for the Money in the Bank. It was already written into storyline, and as such, Seth Rollins had no control over it. But at the moment, there isn't a dedicated storyline for Seth Rollins. He's just going to be champion for a while, which means that he can basically request opponents. He's requested Shinsuke Nakamura after having what he refers to as a very enjoyable match way back when at Survivor Series. He believes there is more to be mined there, and he's a big fan of Shinsuke Nakamura. Happened previously with AJ Styles at the Money in the Bank when AJ Styles and Seth Rollins were feuding. It was a one-month feud because Seth Rollins requested it. 3 matches were pulled from the SummerSlam card. Edge was one of them. Edge was expected to face Grayson Waller at SummerSlam. Vince McMahon trying to make that one happen, with the potential for that to be the second to last match before the big send-off, as it were. Edge is currently sitting on an offer from the WWE, but it's up to him whether or not he signs it. He does have a couple of days, a couple of weeks potentially left on his contract. He will not appear at all in any wrestling capacity. Okay. Bailey says, Payback? No, I get that. The build for Payback has not been fantastic. I've been rough on All In because it just hasn't had a build, and I can't sit here and say Payback has either. Marcel says, do you expect Roman to be there, or a message from Roman for Bray? To my knowledge, Roman is not there. Roman is still at home, but he may have recorded something at home. It depends whether or not that was a choice that the WWE went with. Grayson says, I love the touching moment where The Undertaker passed the torch to Bray. Brad is excited for Payback. Austin says, thanks, Tom, for being here for all of us, especially on this hard time. I appreciate you guys being here for me. It works both ways, guys. Thank you. Dal says, yes, very excited. Ken says, what is everyone's favourite Husky Harris moment? He's a wonderful person. I enjoyed his work. Leon's not really excited. Sean is excited. Calvin says, do you think the show will end with a big tribute like they did for Brody? Probably yes. Sean says, hello, Tom. Hello, Sean. Spider-Boss says, about Payback, I'm not hyped. The women's matches aren't so interesting. Yeah, the second match that was pulled from SummerSlam, as I've mentioned, was, of course, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. The third was the originally planned match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. We are waiting on more information as to what happens next for Raquel Rodriguez, but I suspect she bounces off Rhea Ripley and then goes back towards the Tag Team Championships. Sean says, since SmackDown will be a tribute show to Bray, do you think we'll see Eric Rowan? Sean, I want you to rewind by about 15 minutes, and you'll get all of the details that I know about tonight's show. Noob is looking forward to Payback as well. Sean, if you can't rewind, just pop over to the YouTube and pop back to about 10 minutes into the video. Moises says, good to see Stark pushed. Marcel says, I've always been interested in a pay-per-view. Brandel, welcome. Says, do you think SmackDown will go live tonight as a normal show? Depends what you mean by normal show. SmackDown will go live tonight, I can promise you that. Chris says, I'm excited about Payback. Kervin, not excited, says, nah, Payback right now feels like a Raw or SmackDown show. Joey says, is Trish going away after her match with Becky? We've been waiting for it for a while. It feels like this is a rubber match, and I suspect so, but I can't sit here and promise it. Razar's mostly excited for the women, Rhea versus Raquel and Becky versus Trish. Hopefully Io will defend her title as well. That seems unlikely at this point in time. Moises thinks Shinsuke should win the championship. I don't see that happening. Daz says, Tom, do you see Cody going after Seth? Yes, I do. Joey says, is it true that WWE won't offer more money to Edge? The offer is on the table. Edge would have to first reject it in order to enter negotiations for more money. He, to my knowledge, has not confirmed or rejected it, so there have been no active negotiations. D. Harris, welcome. Says, I can't believe he's gone. R.I.P. Bray. Indeed. Kevin says, how's Tony Khan going to build 1 week of full card for AEW All Out in September 3rd? I suspect it'll be full of rematches. Christian says, question, why is AEW claiming to have the biggest gate wrestling event when Collision in North Korea is currently the biggest? I don't know, to be honest. Devin says, any updates on Mercedes money other than the fact that she has been in talks with Triple H and Triple H has asked if she's interested in returning? That's all I've got. Sai says, some of these are nice ideas for SmackDown, but Tom won't know specifics. Beyond what he's reported here, they likely don't know themselves yet. They have a number of different options for that final segment, and I can't sit here and say, oh, this person's going to be crying. You don't plan to cry. I'm doing what I can, and I appreciate you looking out for me there, Sai. Thank you, Duran. I appreciate that for subscribing on the YouTube side. If you've not subscribed yet, please do consider it. Spoiler warning is the leader in wrestling news. It is every Monday and every Friday, and you get quite a lot of news that you won't find anywhere else. And we also do SmackDown and pay-per-view watch parties that hopefully you may enjoy. There is going to be more information on Mercedes money / Sasha Banks and the talks that she's had with Triple H and with Tony Khan coming in a video soon, plus reviews of pay-per-views that have been taking place under the Triple H regime. Joey says, I think Raquel versus Rhea will be a good match. They had good matches in NXT. Lady Sky is hoping it'll be like they did for Eddie Guerrero, which again, storylines did not pause in that time. Spider-Boss says, I get WWE want Rhea looking strong, but her matches are quite short and a little bit lackluster. They're building her up as a monster. I suspect she'll be beating Becky Lynch. Edward Brooks, welcome. His favourite match was Wyatt Family versus The Shield. Ken says, I'm more looking forward to Impact Wrestling Emergence than WWE Payback. Home producers, any word on the DIY reunion plans yet? Yes, I have a little bit on that will be coming shortly. Calvin says, have you heard anything about Theory possibly turning face later this year? I have not. Doobie Guy says, do you think Edge will go to AEW to reunite with Christian? I'm really not sure, and I don't think it's down to the potential reunite with Christian. So I'm going to open this up to the chat. When it comes to Edge, do you think he will rejoin WWE? Do you think he'll join AEW? Or do you think there is a different path that he will take? What do you think is the next move for Edge? Orange says, RIP Bray Wyatt. Thank you for saying that, Orange. Razar says, do you think they'll announce some Payback matches from the SmackDown side tonight? Because we only have Raw matches announced and only 1 week left. Personally, no. I personally think they will announce it on social media once the show is over. Howling says, I'm still crying. I don't blame you. Christopher Kelly says, how do you know all this information? Just wondering, which is a fair question, Christopher. I appreciate you asking that. So it's a number of different sources. Quite a lot of it is just extensive research. So, for example, a long time ago, I got quite a lot of attention because the first show, the first SmackDown show on Fox, I stated The Rock wants to work with Becky Lynch. Now, I had multiple sources on that. The first source was The Rock, because he'd said in an interview that he wanted to work with Becky Lynch. Having had that information, I was then able to approach people working backstage and say, hey, is The Rock working with Becky Lynch? So that's how some of this starts. There's also what I sometimes call journalistic chicken, where I will post a tweet with a bit of information that I have, and then I'll find myself getting messages from people with more information saying, what do you know? Wait, what do you know? What do you know? What do you know? So there's quite a bit of that. In addition, there's a number of indie wrestlers that I've met over the years working locally and working shows that now work for WWE or work in the back offices, etc., etc. And a number of wrestlers have reached out when I've reported something. So I've reported something about them. They've reached out saying, wait, how do you know this? I've given them some information. Then, of course, it's been confirmed on their side, and they've stayed in touch. Spiderboss says one of the best moments of Bray was a steel cage match with Daniel Bryan in 2014 when Daniel Bryan turned babyface. A wonderful time. Sean says Kyrie's decision to return to WWE is because of Triple H being under creative. As I mentioned about 6 months ago, Sean, one of the first jobs that William Regal had upon his return was to bring Kairi Sane back. You don't need to be sorry, Khalid. Thank you for joining us. Joey says, did you see on Twitter Ciampa posted missing posters for Gargano? Do you know if they're teasing Johnny's return? Nope, that was independent. Randall says, just joined. Really can't believe Bray's dead. Really can't. He was a huge part of my childhood. You're in good company, Randall. We're all stunned by it. Sai says, as regards the attendance, many don't include the career show for attendance records as the numbers were dubious and a large number were reported to have been forced to attend. Khalid says, Tommy, you excited for this Sunday? Yeah. I'm not in the happiest of moods, though. Kevin says the AEW Fight Forever game already died. Not a lot of people still playing. Will says, outside of Zoe Stark, do you know anyone here, women they might be pushing? Io Sky at the moment primarily, but on Raw, not many. Joey says, is Kairi finishing up her dates in Japan before returning to WWE? To my knowledge, she hasn't officially signed anything yet. Justin is hoping that Bo is involved tonight. As regards Edge, Bailey says Edge retires. Brad believes he'll re-sign with the WWE. Sean also thinks WWE. Daz thinks WWE as well. Michael thinks Edge either goes back to WWE or retires. Leon thinks WWE. Eric thinks AEW. Howling says, do you think Jey Uso is going to AEW? No. Ladies Guy says, I think Edge will go to AEW. Spiderboss says, I think Edge stays with WWE. I think he could have one last title run. Doopy says, I personally think Edge will re-sign with WWE because he built such an amazing legacy with the company. Thank you very much, Aging Silver, for following on the Twitch side. Thank you very kindly. You'll get notifications when we go live with Spoiler Warning, Mondays and Fridays, which is our new show, Breaking News, that you largely can't find anywhere else, as well as our SmackDown Watch Party, which will be taking place later on today as well. Razar says, I think he'll join AEW. Ken thinks Edge will sign with Impact or NWA. Spiderboss says about Rhea Ripley, who do you see as a real threat to Rhea's title reign? Only Becky. Literally only Becky. C-Max says, hey Tom, would you think it would be too much if Taker was to come out at the end of SmackDown and do his traditional Taker tribute? Yes, because while Undertaker did believe in Bray Wyatt, I don't think he's earned that particular right. Pardon me. That is a very prestigious position, and I think when it comes to Bray Wyatt, it should not be the Undertaker making that tribute. Joey says, I noticed the big journalists like Sapp and Meltzer always pick up on your reports late. I wouldn't say always, just to be clear. There are definitely times when I've reported something and then shortly afterwards they've reported it behind paywalls or in the newsletter. That does happen. I've also reported and confirmed things that they've reported. I would love it if wrestling media could work together. But as many of you know, you can't mention my name to them because they lose their mind. Ryan says the dream would be Edge Christian versus the Hardys versus the Bucks in a TLC. Have Jeff and the Bucks to take the big spots. I don't want Jeff to take big spots anymore. I've never wanted it. Nope, he's really going to get hurt. Michael says I'm still really not over Jay Briscoe's death, and then this really hurts too. Doopy says WWE should push Bo so we can continue Bray's legacy. I don't know if Bo would be able to continue that legacy. I don't think anyone can. Ashley Buckles says, what do you think WWE will do with Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar is going to be back around the time of the Royal Rumble, potentially Survivor Series, but Royal Rumble most likely. When it comes to WrestleMania, I'll be interested to see who he faces. I think it'll be a rising star, for example, depending on who's there at the time, a Bron Breakker, but I also think it's not impossible that it's an Austin Theory or Grayson Waller. Orange is watching all of Bray Wyatt's matches, and I absolutely respect that choice. Gomar says, hey Tom, hope you're having a good one. It's okay, Gomar. Obviously saddened by the news on Bray Wyatt. Christopher says, I always think this to myself every day. You only got one life. Make sure you look after it and enjoy it. Very fair point, Christopher, and I appreciate you saying it. Tommy says, won't be a dry eye in the arena tonight. Still can't believe Bray is gone. You know the deal, says cliche, but definitely sending thoughts and prayers out to Wyndham Rotunda's family, friends, and all those he has touched throughout the wrestling community. This is one of those moments where we definitely do want to be coming together and supporting each other. I was very happy after the show yesterday, very relieved in many ways, because I did go live so that we could talk and share and just talk and share. Daniela thinks Edge should sign with WWE. Joey says, do you think Edge would get one last title run if he re-signed? Nope. Joe won't be watching Payback because he's flying to Turkey for a week. Jordan says, in what has been a very sad day, I'm glad that Bray Wyatt was able to share the ring with his brother Bo Dallas for his last in-ring TV segment. Humperdew says, I think Edge will retire and go full-time into acting. Spider-Boss says, if someone should pay tribute to Bray tonight, I think Braun Strowman is the right guy. Certainly he's the right-hand man. Dad says, Tom, I'll be getting a membership when I get topped up next month. No worries, mate. I appreciate everyone who is a channel member. If it's not for you, I completely understand. And I'm not really going to push the memberships. You guys know that there is content there if you want it, a bit more of a deep dive and a breakdown of how I learn what I learn, which I think quite a few people have found very interesting. But this channel is built on the ad revenues. I really genuinely appreciate the revenue that comes from the channel memberships. It really does help, and it goes straight back into the channel, but I'm not going to push anyone to do so. It's entirely your choice if you want to support in that way. Eric says, do you think they'll build Liv back up to be a threat for Rhea after her return? Yes, I do. Kelvin says, if Edge goes to AEW, how many talent will Edge put over? The exact same as he did in WWE. Doopy says, do you think Gable will beat Gunter at Payback? No, but I think he's been the biggest threat so far, and it's certainly a good look for Gable given that Drew McIntyre was demolished. Spider-Boss says, I always wondered if Rey Mysterio's title run in 2006 was only because he's Latino like Eddie. I would say it's only because that he's also a very talented wrestler. Joey says, why is Bron Breakker still in NXT? Does Creative have nothing for him on the main roster? Creative essentially is full. Tommy says they should either start around with a rocking chair. They will do whatever they want to do. They know Bray Wyatt better than we do. Dad says, who do you think will win the title, MJF or Adam Cole? I think MJF will retain the title. Doopy says, I'm so happy that the world is coming together during this awful situation. KJ's here. Welcome, mate. Says, what's up, Tom and chat? Sorry for everyone's loss. Tom, I know you were a huge fan. Sorry, man. Thanks for still doing this. I remember watching the debut in 2013 when they attacked Kane. Yeah, a long time ago it feels like now. Long time ago. And yeah, This hurts. It hurts. The other Mike says, did Edge actually say he was retiring, or was it just common knowledge that this was his last match on his current contract? At no point did he say he was going to retire. Miss AC says, Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 40? Nope. Ashley says, do you think WWE will put Bray in the Hall of Fame? Yes, I do. I think a lot of people are expecting the WWE to come out and say, we're going to do this, and this. And they need to stop and think and work out what each step is going to entail first. So I don't doubt that Bray Wyatt is going to be in that Hall of Fame and he's going to be a first ballot pick. It might not be this year though, and I don't think we should blame them for taking a bit more time if that's what they need to do. KJ says, I remember when I first found your channel, you mentioned Wyatt bringing you back to wrestling. He did. I've told this story already, but I'll tell it again because I came back to wrestling in 2014. I watched Battlegrounds 2014. I watched John Cena and Kevin Owens and I was bored. I watched Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. I saw Seth doing backflips out of German suplexes and I enjoyed it. Bray Wyatt's entrance. That's why I stayed. I would not be right now here hosting this show. I probably would have been homeless during that time I came very close, if you guys remember. Where essentially this chat and the income from it paid my rent for a couple of months and gave me time to find a new job during a pandemic. I wouldn't have had this channel. I wouldn't have been watching wrestling again if not for that Bray Wyatt entrance. Spider-Boss says, is Cora Jade off TV due to creative hiatus? Yes. Khalid's favourite Bray Wyatt moment was when he won the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, which is two separate moments. But rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Will says, I must say the way you kept the Bray Wyatt return a surprise, it must have been really hard for you. I did and I didn't. Will, you obviously are aware of this particular situation. I did report a month before he returned that he'd signed a new deal and would be returning. Then, of course, during the show when he was going to return, I maintained, I don't know. Then the main event started and I changed. You'll recall this. I stopped saying, I don't know. And I started saying, well, what if? What if it is? What if this happens? You know it would be great. And if you go back and watch it, you can see the moment the entire tone changes. I am quite proud of that because I was able to maintain the surprise while also making it clear what was going to happen. Joey says, Denise Salcedo is getting a lot of heat on Twitter for asking the Big Show about Bray. I think a lot of it's down to how she did it as well, to be fair, but it's one of those things. It is a question that journalists are going to ask, and it is going to cause some very upset people. I personally wouldn't ask it. Doopy says, Bray could have been part of the creative department of WWE. It sucks that his life was cut way too short. Bray Wyatt was in fact only about 1 year older than I am right now, and it worries me, it concerns me. I get scared. I do. Rutger says RIP Bray Wyatt as well. Brandel says, do you think SmackDown will be a normal show tonight? No. Spider-Ball says, Bray's return last year was awesome. The QR codes and references to Bray on TV were fun. Jordan says, what an incredible human being Wyndham Rotunda was. He was an inspiration and a shining light for so many of us. You know the deal says it's saddening that it takes a tragedy like the loss of Bray to bring the entire wrestling community together. Hopefully moving forward we can all embrace everyone and cherish every day in a positive light. That's the dream for me, you know the deal. I really do hope that we can all come together, we can all work together, we can all share a moment of respect for a wonderful person. A few things left to cover. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are not expected to be on the Payback card. They will have a match taking place next week at the Superstar Spectacle against Indus Sher. That is the India special, the NXT India special. It will feature John Cena as well. John Cena, who is due back next week also in the build to Payback. I suspect John Cena will also pay tribute at that time. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are not expected to feature at Payback. Shayna Baszler was expected to start her feud with Becky Lynch already, and in fact they already started the build to that with her match against Zoe Stark. However, the pushback for the match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus also pushed back the possibility of the feud with Shayna Baszler. Now, Shayna Baszler is getting a bit of the blame for the match between her and Ronda Rousey being so underwhelming at SummerSlam. She's the only one left who actually could be blamed because Ronda Rousey is already out the door and they never blame the production team. But what I will say is that the program is still planned to begin. The program and the feud has not been pulled. It's just been pushed back because the match was. And there are no plans at the moment for DIY to get back together. Ciampa is working independently to essentially, what it looks like, start a feud with Johnny Gargano. Long term, this may lead to DIY, but DIY is not immediately forthcoming. The dude says, first show I saw after a year-long break was WrestleMania 30. Didn't know a lot of the wrestlers at that time, but when I saw Bray facing Cena, I knew he was special and was hooked instantly. R.I.P. Bray. JJ says, sorry I'm late, Tom, just got off. Hope everyone is doing better today. You as well, Tom. Hope your mental is okay. Kinda yes, kinda no. As expected, I didn't really sleep. So I don't know how well I'm going to manage going into a 3 a.m. finish, especially when I'm up again at 6:30 to start travelling to London. I think it'll be Monday when I start to feel alive again, but I'll be travelling on Monday as well, so it's hard to say. Joey, yes, I think Cody will be at Payback. Moises says, will the Indian show be televised? I don't believe so, no. Khalid says, much respect to you, Tom, and everyone loves you on this community. You're my favourite YouTuber and TikToker. Thank you, Khalid. Appreciate that. KJ says, hey, Tom, random question. Feel kind of weird asking anything. Would you know why Naomi didn't go to AEW? I'm not sure that there was particular interest from AEW to pick up Naomi. Spider-Boss says, I just wanted to share this. When Eddie Guerrero passed 18 years ago, I was devastated emotionally. 8 years ago, Sasha Banks and Bayley rivalry brought me back to wrestling. Seeing someone so beloved pass away is so sad. Ronnie, thank you very much for that. It's a very, very generous donation, $20. Ronnie says, sharing this on behalf of my son who has autism. His favourite Bray Wyatt moment was the one with John Cena, when the children's choir was involved and wearing sheep's masks. Everything about it he enjoyed. R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. Thank you once again. That's a very, very generous donation. Neurodivergent people really felt for Bray Wyatt. There was something incredibly relatable for neurodivergent people. And yes, I speak for myself there. As many of you know, I have OCD. It's not the only thing I have, but that's sort of the main one that I have. And yeah, I know a number of people who have autism and the like who found something very interesting about Bray Wyatt. It's again another reason why it's such a tragedy. Michael, thank you very kindly. He's gifted a tier 1 sub to Ghost on the Twitch side. Thank you very kindly, Michael. That's very generous of you. I appreciate it. Michael still thinks Bray should have been the one to break the Undertaker streak. Moxie says, yo Tom. Hello Moxie. Joey said, it's so dumb. Did they really think an MMA fight was going to go over well with the fans? Should have just done a fight pit match. I've mentioned it before. There is many reasons that Triple H was getting frustrated with Ronda Rousey's contract. It wasn't up to him what they did. Moxie says, still trying to process the bad news for Bray. Daniela says, Roman isn't defending the title. Sami and Kevin aren't defending the titles. Io Sky isn't defending the title. Ray may not defend the title. All these titles not being defended at Payback. Yep, because it's going to go down once again to a 5 or 6 match card. We've already got an idea as to many of those. Oh, Sean, it brings in some good news. Says, congrats to Bronson Reed. Revealed he and his wife are expecting. Spider-Boss says, I still think Bray should have beat Goldberg in 2020. Brad Becker says, Ronnie, that was a great moment. Randall says, does WWE have something planned for Bray tonight? Yep. There's a whole tribute planned. If you want to rewind by about 35 minutes, you'll find all the details there. Oh, Noob stating that Noob has autism as well. I appreciate you feeling the confidence and the welcome in this community to be confident opening up about that. I appreciate that. Ashley says, who should Roman drop the belt to? I'm going with Solo at this point, to be honest. Joey says, it seems like Ronda just wanted to get out of WWE fast. She wrestled very lazy in her last match. Eric says, do you think Drew McIntyre re-signs? I'm really not sure on that one. That's a really big question. And since you've asked it, let's open it up. Let's open it up to the chat. Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's contract expires after next year's WrestleMania. At the moment, there is no sign of a new contract being signed. He wants top championships to be included before he'll sign anything. Do you think Drew McIntyre will sign a new deal? JJ says, hoping they make Bray the headliner of the Hall of Fame next year and have his whole family accept on his behalf. And Chris joins us and says, I just watched when Bray Wyatt debuted The Fiend against Finn Balor. Jones says, in his Fozzy concert tonight, Chris Jericho got the crowd to sing. He's got the whole world in his hands. Powerful moment. Brad's not sure as regards Drew McIntyre. D. Harris says, I love the Inferno match with Bray and Kane. Leon says, one takeaway from this is no matter who returns or how a run may not be good, we shouldn't SHIT on that said wrestler because we never know what they're actually going through. R.I.P. Bray, we love you. Christopher says, not unless he gets what he wants, which I think is fair. Leon does think Drew will re-sign. Spider-Boss says, I think Drew re-signs with WWE and I think he could beat Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Michael says, Drew, yes, I think he re-signs. Matthew thinks he won't sign. He'll go to AEW and get buried like Miro and Keith Lee. Cynical. Red Top Bridge says hi. Welcome, Red Top Bridge. How you doing? Welcome to the show. There is 2 more things I want to discuss. Plenty of news, of course, in this already. I do want to quickly discuss the differences when it comes to Twitter and Threads, because Twitter's becoming really, really annoying to be a part of. However, I know the algorithm there and I know how to work it. You may note, for example, my post earlier about, well, what I've been talking about in this show, the changes made to Smackdown, has reached double my follow account, which is quite impressive for Twitter. And lately I've been gaining quite a number of followers. I've been gaining some really quite impressive momentum, and I've really felt good about that. Threads I've struggled with. I'm not getting much in the way of engagement at the moment because I don't really have anyone follow me there, and not many people seem to be using it. What I have been doing is finding lots of engagement in responses and replies, and I've been getting the occasional follower there, but it's not been growing. I get the feeling if you don't already have a substantial following via Instagram, Threads isn't really for you. Sorry, someone's screaming outside. It's a fairly regular occurrence. I'm really excited to one day have enough money to move. So when it comes to Twitter, which of course is just up there at Colohue, I also have TikTok, also just up there. And of course, in addition to that, I have the Threads. So if you are a Threads user, please follow me at Tom Colohue. If you're an Instagram user, Tom Colohue. And if you're a Twitter user, go with Colohue. Because if we can grow, I will look to continue growing via both methods as best I can. Twitter at the moment, the way I grow essentially is by replies. So if, for example, I posted a tweet advertising that this show is going to go ahead, nobody will see it, apart from like a small handful, 300, 400 people, most of whom have already found the YouTube channel. Unless we have people engaging with it, likes, retweets, but actually most importantly, replies. Because if you are replying, you're taking a little more time to do so, and the algorithm basically says the more time you spend on a tweet, reading the replies or replying to them, the more engagement it gets, and the more upwards it shoots. And before you know it, this channel grows really quickly. So that's the algorithm for Twitter, and it's very manageable. As Joey is asking about, trolls are the key. And Twitter is full of trolls. Moxie says, I refuse to believe the Bray Wyatt news. A part of me still hopes this is not real and hope Triple H got hacked. It's more than just Triple H, mate. It's been confirmed by way too many people. It's real. JJ says, as regards Drew McIntyre, I don't think he will if he doesn't get what he wants. Kinda don't want Becky to either. Spider-Boss says, who do you see beating Gunter for the IC title? Seems that nobody can beat the Ring General. I still personally think Drew McIntyre is going to be the guy. Michael personally does not, rarely uses Threads. Yeah, there was a huge groundswell for Threads, and then everyone just moved on, which is not a surprise. It's kind of what I expected to happen. Pete, how you doing, mate? Says, I'm sad that Bray passed away, but I personally didn't get the hype. More sad Terry Funk died, but I'm an older viewer of wrestling. Thoughts with the family of both wrestlers, which is fair. Joey says, the Twitter trolls still coming. Less than they used to be. Honestly, I'm probably going to grow a lot faster once all those people I've blocked immediately start attacking me again. Pretty sure that was sound of breaking bottles. Shouting. Haven't heard any gunfire yet. Sai says, Threads is losing momentum. It was released without key functionality, hashtags, etc. At the moment, I'm afraid Twitter is a necessary evil for building or maintaining an audience. And that is something I have to consider. Because there is every possibility that I will be able to grow this channel, and thus my income, better on Twitter. But then I'm more likely to get trolls and idiots in the channel. We have a great community here. I'd like to grow, but I don't want to ruin what we have. So maybe I just focus on all of you who are already here, because I know you guys and I trust you guys, and I can say to you guys, yeah, can you not do that? And we all realize that we're all working towards the same goal, you know? Barry says, I've avoided all the meta stuff like Threads, had a lot of people banking on Blue Sky developing and taking off, and that's where I am. I think Blue Sky is going to be the one, it just needs to launch. Razar says, I follow you on both, but I do use Twitter more. Threads is my backup in case Elon does some dumb stuff and I have to bounce. Kind of the same. Joey says, I remember one of the trolls came in here before spamming you. Yeah. Yep, that was one troll who came in for months and boosted my chat rate. Chat rate just went boom. I grew a lot because of that troll. Red Top Rich says, when's Randy coming back? There is a number of videos on this channel that you can check out which detail the current schedule of Randy Orton's return. Moxie says, Tom, I think Seth beats Nakamura, then Priest cashes in and wins. That way Cody can then beat Priest at Survivor Series and face Gunter at Mania. So just a lot of championship changes there. A lot of championships changing hands. There is one more piece of news I want to discuss. Before we get to that, please do remember there are really easy ways to help this channel grow. There are 3 basic ways to ensure the growth of this channel. Firstly, if you hit like, we currently have 98 people and 65 likes. We've had 600 views, so if we're able to, please remember to hit the thumbs up when you come in. That's the easiest way to really boost the range of this show right now. Second is to subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the more likely we are to get views, etc. The more likely we are to have multiple people here. You'll get a notification, and the more people there are in a chat, the more YouTube will advertise that stream to other people. And finally, the third way is as regards chat rate. So, for example, if I look at how my chat rate's been so far, there are times when it's peaked, there are times when it's troughed. That's something that happens. We peaked at 11 and we got there twice. So that essentially means 11 messages per minute, which is one every, 5 seconds? Pretty good spot to be in, let's be fair. So chat rate is a big thing, and you can actually see how the viewership spikes based on chat rate. So essentially, that's one of the reasons we do a show where it's questions and answer, but it's also one of those where you can talk amongst yourselves and really help the channel grow by sort of ignoring me and just talking to each other. There are multiple ways to do that, other than the obvious ways of like breaking down your comments and answering questions and jumping in with things like that. Moxie says, Tom, do you think WWE wasted Edge's spot on the draft if Edge was going to leave anyway? They didn't know for certain he was going to leave anyway. They were trying to make him sign a new deal. Brad said, is William Regal coming back eventually? William Regal has already come back. Moxie, it's not a competition. I don't like what you've done there. It's not a competition. Brandel says, do you think we'll still get some matches tonight on SmackDown? Do you think Raw will be normal this Monday? I won't say Raw will be entirely normal. I expect to see further tribute there. But SmackDown, there will be matches on it, yes. Ashley says, I think Gunter is like William Regal back in the day, with the exception of being successful. JJ says, also want to say, hope all the wrestlers start taking their health more serious. Anything can happen at any time. Going to be really transparent here. The next thing I'm going to mention is what I know about the cause of death for Bray Wyatt. If this is not something you want to know, I fully accept and understand if you choose to walk away now. This is information that I've had for a while and just haven't reported. It's been interesting watching people getting credit for their reporting being very careful and very measured when they've been reporting about actual physical health. I personally chose not to report anything on physical health until now. So if this isn't something you want to know, I completely understand. If you mute, if you leave, whatever works for you. The cause of death for Bray Wyatt was a heart attack after a long-term battle with a degenerative heart disease. His heart had been failing him for a while. He has been immunocompromised for a long time as well. His immune system simply is not as strong as the average person because of a number of unfortunate illnesses and diseases. He unfortunately contracted COVID at a very difficult time, at a time when it was still very difficult to treat and very difficult to combat. He was able to fight that off, but much like Keith Lee, who also had a heart condition, it was a situation where unfortunately he struggled to recover. And with the damage being done, even though he was recovering and beating it, unfortunately the heart attack came and the strain was simply too much. Okay. That's what happened. I will not be putting this in videos anywhere else. I'll not be reporting further on it. That is the only thing I'll be saying about that. I just wanted to make it clear because I know full well that this is going to be guessed. It's going to be ripped apart. people are going to try and make money from making up causes of death. Okay? So I just wanted to be very clear. Whatever you hear, that is what happened. Razar says, out of all the current champions right now, who do you think is losing their title first? Seems like none of them are dropping their titles this year, which is kind of boring. I think Seth is the most likely, to be honest. Seth. Ronnie says, Ronnie's talking to Brad. AK struggling to believe it, and I get it. Furious Lion says, Keith Lee has heart problems. Damn, man. Yeah, that was one of the main reasons that he vanished from the screen for quite a long time. He was fighting the effects of long COVID on a heart problem. KJ says, Tom, if you don't mind me asking, is it possible he suffered the... I'm not reporting any further on it. I've shared everything I know, and that will be what I report on it. I'm not blaming you for the question, just to be clear, but it's closed now. That's everything I know. Thank you, Si. I appreciate that. No, KJ, not blaming you for the question. I'm deciding to end it there. A video snit. There is. I have no. I'm not. We're done with the topic now. I've said everything I know. I cannot answer any questions on it. Appreciate that, Jordan. We'll see what happens, Joey, as well. Sean says, does Becky appear in NXT? Maybe. I mean, she wants to. She likes it down there. She has history. So we've been live for an hour. We will be live again in just under 2 hours for our WWE Smackdown watch party. If you do want people to watch Smackdown with, particularly what's going to be a very emotional Smackdown, you guys know where I am. We will be live and we will be watching and we will be paying our own tributes to a great man. Until then, I hope to see you for the watch party, and then again for Monday's spoiler warning, where we'll have plenty more news for you. Until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I really genuinely mean that. This community has really helped me through this, and I'll see you all soon.